Warning: the following podcast has been rated listener R due to strong language, violent situations, drug references, sexual innuendos, and who knows what else. Listener discretion is advised. With that being said, hang on, sugar tits, because we're about to get wobbled.
Hey guys, it is Clayton Wobble Elliott back again with another episode of the Let's Get Wobble podcast. Season 3, episode 4. Massive day. Massive. Biggest day of all. I will post this in the morning so that way people have something to listen to, what have you. Today's a very special day. I'm getting married to a person that if you would have told me 4 years ago I was going to get married to, I wouldn't have believed you. Just simply because we had just met then. Like, it's wild to think how far we've came and how much love that we've given each other over these last 4 years. It's just been amazing. It's truly a dream come true. All the stress and everything leading up to this has been so worth it. Today is the day, and I'm super excited to spend it with her and my family. Got a lot to talk about in this episode. I'm going to crunch it down quite a bit into some short topics, but we'll get through it. But if you are coming to the wedding, we really appreciate you being there. If you're not coming to the wedding, please understand, and I will tie this in to the episode later. It is not because we did not want you there. It is simply because we were limited on what we could do and who we could invite. So we put a cap on what we were able to do, what we thought was safe, and it was extremely hard to keep under that number. Let me just say that. And I'll explain to you all of it in the episode. It's not that we didn't want you there. It was just simply because we didn't have the room and didn't have everything that we needed to accommodate everybody that we wanted to be there. But anyway, leading up to this episode, this will be episode 4, like I said. So I'm recording this early, obviously. I'm not dropping it the day of, just because I'm going to have way too much shit going on day before to record a podcast on top of everything else that I need to do. And I've found that recording early helps me get content out to you guys on a frequent basis. I've found that bi-weekly seems to work for me, and I can keep up with it. I can record episodes, put them on the back burner, and let you guys catch up to them. I would like to eventually get to weekly. I just don't know. I need to get a lot further ahead than what I am right now. I'm like an episode, maybe 2 ahead sometimes, depending on how much I have to talk about. And there's sometimes I just like to take a week off, which is really nice because posting bi-weekly, I'm able to take a weekend off, not record, and go on about my day. But like I said, bi-weekly is working for me for now. So I appreciate you guys. I hope you've been keeping up with the episodes. I hope you like season 3 so far. It's not going to be like this the entire season. I would like to get some old guests on and re-interview them. I would like to get some new guests on also and interview them as well. That's in talks with people, trying to find out a schedule that works too. The weather's kind of breaking, so people are getting out trying to do things. So it'll definitely be a little bit easier. So getting prepared for this wedding has been one of the harder things that I've had to do. And I hate saying that because it's been so fun for us trying to figure out what we wanted to do. So we started out looking at venues when I first asked her to marry me. We talked about where we were going to get married because my family is mostly Southeast Ohio. Some of them live out of state, but everybody my way is most Southeast Ohio. Her family is mostly just on the other side of the state border in West Virginia. So it wasn't too bad. We were kind of in the middle area trying to figure out where we wanted to go. And looking at prices for wedding venues, let me tell you, I need to purchase some property and build a wedding venue on it because they make a killing. I'm not saying everybody does. We didn't look at every wedding venue, but I'm saying the ones that we did look at were very expensive for the weekend to rent out. So we bounced around the idea of what we were going to do, how we were going to do it, how we're going to afford everything because we wanted a smaller wedding. Didn't want anything super big, didn't need to go to a church to do it. All we wanted was family and friends there. Just basic, simple. So the more we dug in, the more we'd realize like this is going to be super expensive. And our biggest thing was we did not want to put the cost onto our parents. We didn't feel like it was fair to them to put them into it. And I'm saying that, but they did help us out even without us asking. They reached out and said, "Hey, we would like to pay for this. We'd like to pay for this," and we really do appreciate it. I appreciate Heather, Kristen's mom. She has done an amazing job. I cannot thank her enough for all the things that she's done, along with helping Kristen out. I can't thank my mom enough, Shauna. She's done so much. My grandmother, Connie, on my side. I can't thank those people enough. They've already done enough, and we haven't even me recording this. We're still 2 weeks out, but I just can't thank them enough. This has just been amazing, and I can't. I owe everything to them for being able to let us do this. But so after looking at venues, I told Kristen, "Hey, listen, maybe we could talk about having out at my grandma's pond. She's got a little pond, a pavilion." I said it would kind of be a little smaller than what we would be looking at for a bunch of people, but let's kind of see where we would be at if they would let us do it. I brought it to my grandma. There was no questions asked. Absolutely, you could do it here. So um, we're having it at my grandma's pond, which is really nice. Got DJ set up, got everything we need set up. Um, and then like having to order decor, signage, different things. Like our whole back room is full of wedding stuff. And we're also renting a lot of wedding stuff too, so we don't have to get rid of it whenever the wedding is over, which I think is a genius plan as well. Um, but just try like I haven't gone through that back room and organized anything yet. It's just a bunch of boxes laying everywhere. And I know getting closer, it probably wouldn't hurt to at least sort it out and make it into piles of what shit needs to go where, what shit is for what. But having to go through all that. But one of the things that I wanted to point out was Kristen and I thought that it would be a good idea to get road signs to put out and put them at like the intersections that we know people would use to get there. I mean, GPSs are obviously the thing now. Most people are going to use their phones and type in the address and get there. So that's not an issue, but at least the phone matches the road sign. So you're 100% like, hey, Siri's not trying to fucking run me off the road here. This is where we're trying to go. So she ordered them from Amazon. They came in and I did the unboxing of them. I cut them open. I was like, wow, these look really nice. I think they look great. This is perfect. Whatever. She was worried because she'd bought the signs from Amazon. They were cheaply made. She was worried that the arrows were pointing the wrong way on the signs. And y'all, to try to explain to this woman, and I love her to death. That's why I'm wanting her to marry me, and I've chose to marry her because I do. I love her. I just wonder where her head is sometimes. But she had a difficult time seeing that the road signs were correct. So on the front, if the sign points to the left and you're looking at it and it's pointing to the left, on the back side, it is pointing to the right. So it is correct. The arrow points to the same side of the sign, if you can follow that. There's a video that was taken. There's actually two videos that were taken on Snapchat of me trying to explain that the road signs were right. I said the sign has to be different because if you're looking at it from different directions, like it's still right. Doesn't matter which way you look at it, it's still correct. She's like, well, I don't know. It just doesn't look right in my head. And I'm like, okay. So I pointed the sign to her in front of her. And I said, if this is the direction that you need to turn this way, like you're looking at the sign, it says turn left for you. Me looking at it, you need to turn left coming from the sign. From the other way, I have to turn right. It's correct, sweetheart. Is basically what I tried to tell her. It is perfectly okay. Everything looks fine. It's the way that it needs to be. She's like, I don't know. I think I just have to see it out there to know that it's going to be okay. And in hindsight, I should have taken the sign out to the yard and let her look at it from the driveway. So that way she could see, okay, coming from the left side of our driveway, you have to turn right to get in the driveway. Coming from the right side of the driveway, you have to turn left to get in the driveway. The sign is perfectly fine. But when I tell you that I had to spend approximately 5 to 10 minutes explaining to her that it was right, and she wasn't 100% sure. She was worried the signs were wrong. That's where we were. And I had to, like, I even held my arm out and showed her, this is the way that you have to turn. So if you hold your arm straight out, this is the way you have to turn. That's how I'm explaining it to her. I said, even if you're looking at it or somebody from the other side of our kitchen is looking at it, my arm still points the same way. It doesn't change. It's correct. She's like, yeah, but it just doesn't make sense. And God love her. I understand it is hard for her to picture things out in, like, actually working out in her head, but man, is it, I just couldn't get it through to her. So then I FaceTimed my mom, and my mom was confused. And I was like, that's fine. We're just gonna figure it the fuck out. We'll put the signs out. Everything's good. We'll make it. Um, but in the past couple weeks, we've stopped out by the pavilion. Um, we're trying to get a plan together. So when we looked at this venue, or I'm going to call it our venue, but it's really just a pavilion by the pond that we're having this wedding at, trying to figure out how many people we could fit under this pavilion. And it, taking that into consideration, the pavilion's not massive by any means, but it's decent size. We also have to take into consideration how many cars we can park at my grandma's property. It's a decent sized property, but just trying to figure out what we can fit and where we are. So we're having tables and chairs delivered to the place the day before the wedding. So that whole day, I'm going to be there and Kristen's going to be there, and we're going to have to move chairs and tables and trying to find a way and how we're going to make it work. The weather is also depending on how we're going to be able to do it, which I know has been stressful on her because it's not a dead set plan. Things could go awry, things could be askew, if you will, but I think it doesn't matter how we do it. And I keep trying to remind her that it doesn't matter how we do it. It's just the fact that we are doing it. People aren't going to mind if things look a little different. This isn't your average wedding. And we know that, and we're okay with that. But I just know she's been stressing a lot about how things are going to go because she can't picture them in her head, and she's not 100% sure how she wants things to work. So, but we'll get that all squared away. But basically, we're looking at the pavilion. We got it all cleaned out. This upcoming weekend, we are going to go and pressure wash everything, the entire floor, the beams, get everything nice and cleaned up. So that way, the only thing left to do is I'm going to go over and mow their yard for them, get all the grass nice and cut down, take a yard sweeper, sweep up all the dead grass, weed eat, do all that. And then once that's taken care of, the only thing that'll be left to do will be to decorate for the wedding. Um, Another thing that we got together, Kristen has somebody coming to my grandma's house that's going to do the girl's hair that day. Me and my bridesmaids, that sounded fucking right. Me and my groomsmen are going to have our hair cut at my barber shop, who's local. So we're taking care of that as well. One thing that I'm not super fucking stoked about, and I have to admit this, I'm going to just because it's true. I was scheduled for a manicure, not by my choosing, but I was just told that I have a manicure appointment. I'm going to admit to you people, I've had pedicures done. I actually like having pedicures done, right? It's not bad. They take good care of my feet. Fuck it, whatever. I don't mind having a pedicure every once in a while. It's been a while since I've had one. Never had a manicure. Never really cared to have a manicure. But apparently, the photographer that we have, Kristen said, we'll take pictures of our hands because of the rings, and she wanted my hands to look good. So I'm like, okay, whatever. If this is what you want, I guess I'll fucking go with it. So I'm trying to decide what kind of nails that I should get. I'm not quite sure. And if you think that that's the truth, you're fucking kidding yourself. But yeah, anyhow, I got to go through it because it's what she wants. And I'm willing to give her what she wants because my dick has never sucked itself before. So there's some things you just have to bend on in life. So, but anyway, we've got all that stuff scheduled, figured out. The hard part's going to be the day of getting everything set up the way we want it, parking, everything like I said. That the days are getting so close. Right now, we are less than 14 days away, and it just we're getting things knocked out, but at the same time, like there's so much still to do, but we can't do it until the days get closer. So I'm looking forward to it, but I'm also looking forward to experiencing it, doing it, and then getting it behind us. I know that sounds like I'm trying to rush it, but everybody that I've talked to is like, yeah, we understand that. Like, it's just a lot to go through. There's so much to think about and so much to do. It's just crazy. But I'm definitely looking forward to it, though. I'm ready for it to come. So I wanted to bring this up as well. I was kind of hoping Kristen would do this podcast with me, but she wants to wait until after we're married and everything and give like a life update of all of us, all the things that we've done through our life after we're married, which I'm cool with. Um, for our wedding, and I'm gonna say this, it's not really true, but it is what it is. Um, I bought us a wedding present already, and we are not married yet, which isn't true. But I mean, I got something new and just claimed that it was a wedding present for us. Long story short, my cousin had asked me, "Hey, I'd like to go to a Harley Davidson dealer and trade my bike in and get something a little bigger." I helped him look at his first bike. He got a Kawasaki KLR. He was learning to ride. So he got it, wanted something a little bit bigger, said he wanted to go to Harley, take a look. I said, yep, if you want to go take a look, I'm perfectly cool with that, buddy. Friday's my day off. We can go up on a Friday if you want. We'll go up early morning, check everything out, see what they got. So the whole time we're riding up in his truck, he's talking about trading in the KLR, going with Harley. I'm listening to what options he's wanting, kind of giving him some ideas of just basic information that I've done on my phone. So we get up to Fink's Harley Davidson in Zanesville. We get out of the truck. We walk in the door together. And to the left of the door, as soon as I walk in, is a beautiful Harley Davidson Ultra that is a burnt orange color and is like a full dresser. And for those that don't really know how me and Kristen ride or are around much when we talk about riding motorcycles, we had eventually talked about getting something bigger. The motorcycle that I do have was left to me by my grandfather when he passed away. I absolutely love that bike. It's besides the bike that I learned on, that's been the only other bike that I've had. Um, and it's just got so much sentimental value to it. But we had talked 4 or 5 years down the road, getting something bigger, something more comfortable when we take longer rides. But it wasn't really expected to happen this close to time. So I'm looking at it. My cousin's looking at his stuff. I'm back and forth about, man, this bike's gorgeous. This is exactly what we had talked about wanting for a while. We'd also talked about getting a road glide, but I've never been on a bike with a fairing before, so I didn't really know really what I wanted. I just knew I wanted something bigger, something a little newer, something that her and I could still enjoy. So I go back over with my cousin. He's talking with the guy that he's been talking to, the dealer. Um, a good friend of mine works at Harley Davidson. I went over, talked to him for a little bit, just back and forth. Yeah, I'm here with my cousin. He's looking at a bike, whatever. I'm like, hey, if I did want to talk to somebody, who would you recommend? He said, honestly, the same guy that your cousin's dealing with is the guy that I would recommend. So he said, do what you want, but he said, this is my recommendation of a guy. So I'm talking with my cousin. We're back and forth. I'm looking at the bikes that he's liking. He's kind of showing me his options. When he's talking with his dealer or just kind of walking around while his dealer's waiting on some other things, I'm going back and looking at this bike up front. And I'm like, I'm falling in love with this bike as it's sitting on the floor. It is gorgeous. It's exactly everything that we've been talking about that we wanted. Louder speakers, more comfortable, more area to, like, we're not sitting on top of each other, kind of like we are with my Road King. Looked at the price tag. It was well within the range that I had thought about paying for a bike at one point in time. Um, so the guy that was dealing with my cousin saw me looking at it and he's like, you looking to get you a bike too? And I said, I wasn't when I walked in here, but this is a gorgeous bike. Tell me a little bit about it. So he tells me about it. Of course, I'm sitting on it. I'm all over it, listening to it run, everything. Um, so my cousin was interested in buying two different bikes. He was asking about price, out the door tag, whatever. I was looking to finance. So I asked the guy, I'm like, hey, can you just run me some numbers, kind of see what a monthly payment would look like on this guy? He's like, yep, sure. I'll get with my numbers guy. We'll get you some paperwork if you'd like. We'll also get your cousin some numbers and you guys can both think about those. So I told my cousin, I'm like, dude, I had zero intentions of buying a bike when I walked in here. This is all your fault. And I keep putting the blame on him, but it wasn't him at all. When I saw the bike, I knew that's the one that we had looked at. So the numbers guy comes out. He shows me where it is. He's like, yes, this bike does have a little bit higher mileage than what you may think a good bike would have. But he said, these guys have been hog members. These guys have had this bike serviced every year here at the dealership. This bike is very well taken care of. Of course, gave me the whole runaround, and I assumed that he would. After getting the numbers and looking at them, I told this guy, I am not making a decision without my wife here. And you guys can think about what you want, but in my opinion, when you make that big of a financial decision, your spouse has to be included on it, especially like her and I are just about to get married. We were 3 weeks out at the time I was looking at buying this bike. Mind you, I'd already FaceTimed her before I got the numbers. FaceTimed her, showed her the bike. Hey, what do you think? Here's the price tag on it. Here's what I'm thinking about a monthly payment I think we could make that I feel comfortable making. What do you think? We went back and forth. I said, well, here's the deal. I said, we'll come back and look at it together. And if it's something that we really want to do, we'll pursue it then. And I told the dealer the same thing. I said, I'm not buying this bike without my fiance here. I said, if she sits on that bike, says it's uncomfortable, we're not buying it. Just simple as that. I'm not going to ride this bike much by myself. It's an us thing. And I wanted to make sure that she would enjoy this bike as much as I will if I'm going to be the one to purchase it. So of course they all know this bike's not going to last. This deal's not going to last. I'm like, that's fine. If it's not here when I come back, then it wasn't meant to be to begin with. I didn't really need the bike when I walked in today. I needed that bike like I needed a fucking bullet in my head. But apparently, Russian roulette's a fun game to play, some people say. Anyhow, so I leave. I go back to my home bank that I know will also finance this motorcycle for me if I so choose. I run the numbers through them. The payment was a little bit higher than what I wanted, but a lot less interest. The thing with Harley Davidson, and I talked to my mechanic before I left that shop. I said, hey, not talking to you as a dealer or as a mechanic, but as a friend, I said, what do you think about this bike and the service? And he told me, like I said, basically the same thing the dealer told me. He said, if you wanted to jump on that bike and go to California tomorrow, I would expect you to be back. He said, there's nothing wrong with that bike. It is sound. It does have a good bit of miles on it. But he said, it's not something that you can't put that many more miles on top of it as well. He said, it's very well kept. It's very clean. He said, you can't look around that bike and find any flaws. He said, it's just that well taken care of. And I agreed with him. I mean, it was sharp. He said there was a guy that put a credit application in on that bike as well. So there was 2 credit apps filled out for that bike. That guy was supposed to come in on that Friday to look at the bike. I said, that's fine. I said, if he comes in and he buys it, like I said, then it wasn't meant to be. There's no reason to be upset about it. We weren't ready to make the decision. That guy was. Fuck it. It is what it is. So I wait for Kristen to get home from work. We talk about it, decide that we're going to go with the Harley Davidson package that they're offering us and finance it through Harley. Yes, we were going to pay a higher interest rate, but Harley has a 2-year bumper to bumper warranty on that bike. If anything were to happen, I pay a $50 deductible. Everything else is covered through Harley for the next 2 years. Also, they have like rental coverage. So if we're out anywhere that we decide to go somewhere, we want to go to Tennessee for a weekend, and the bike, I get in an accident or something happens to the bike, Harley Davidson covers rentals, hotel fees, meals, different things like that for 2 years. And I understand I'm paying more for that. I get that, but I'm only going to pay for that for those 2 years, and then I'm going to refinance with the other bank. And her and I talked about that. That's what we decided we were going to do, whether it was the smart thing to do, whether it wasn't. That's what we decided to do if we were going to get this bike. Again, there will be something that wraps all into this at the end. So I talked to Kristen. I'm like, hey, listen, we've gotten the down deposit for this bike. I would like to go talk numbers if you're interested. It was still Friday. They weren't closed yet. I said, you want to make the trip and go look at the bike? She's like, no, I've got a nail appointment. I'd really like to go get my nails done. And I was kind of bummed because I was like, if this guy does come by it, now we're super interested in buy it. I've got cash in hand to put down for a down deposit. Like, I'm interested in buying this bike now. So now would be great to go get it. But I couldn't ask her to change her plans last minute. She would have had to pay a cancellation fee. It was stupid for me to even bring the idea up, but I was interested in going. And she was like, well, why don't you just go get it? I don't need to be with you. And I stuck to that same principle that no, I wasn't going to get it unless she was able to see it, like it, love it just as much as I did. So we slept on it, got up the next morning. I was going to get there when they opened, just because we had a bunch of other shit that we needed to do that day. If we were going to buy this bike, I needed to get it done and out of the way so that way we could move on and do the rest of the shit that we needed to do. We actually had to go back to the pavilion, do some more planning and shit, moving stuff around, whatever. So we get there when they open. I talk to the dealer. I'm like, hey, listen, is that bike still here? He said, yes, it is. That guy didn't come look at it. He said, it is still here. He said, we are interested if you're interested on moving forward with it. And we started talking numbers with the guy. I went back and forth on it, trying to get him to come down. He did come down a little, but not as much as I was hoping he would. I think if I would have walked away from it and maybe came back a day or so later, there's a huge chance that bike may not have been there, but I think I would have got him to come down a little bit further from where he was. But Kristen and I both took a pause talking to the dealer, went out in the shop, walked around, talked to each other, and she's like, are you going to let this bike go? Because it sounds like you guys are just too different on numbers. I said, I'm not going to let the bike go. I'm going to pay a decent price for it, but I said he's got to come down a little, and I know he's going to. He's not just going to stay firm the whole time. He's not going to only take 500 off. You know what I mean? He's going to come down. I just have to get him to think that he needs to come down, or we're going to walk away from this. Plus, like I said, the payment had to be right for us. So we're back and forth talking about payments, talking about this, talking about that. We walked out with that bike that we wanted. Signed the paperwork on it, 2 free t-shirts, some stickers, a free gremlin bow. It all comes with the bikes when you buy them, whatever. So we brought the bike home. I absolutely loved it. Before we did all the buying and all the paperwork signing, I told the guy I had to test ride it. If I was going to buy it, I wanted to know how it rode, and she did too. Unfortunately, Harley Davidson does not cover passengers for test rides. So I could keep it in the parking lot with her and I on it, but I wasn't allowed to leave the parking lot with her on it. I had to wear a helmet the whole time, which is fine, whatever. So she did sit on it. She got to feel how it rode. I cranked the stereo on it. It was plenty loud enough. So she didn't really get a great feel for it, but she at least got to see how her and I both sat on it and what we liked about it, what we didn't like about it, which there wasn't much we didn't like about it. The only thing for me, and she even mentioned it too, it'd be nice to have a little bit louder pipes because it's pretty quiet as it is. And eventually I'd like to put maybe a little bit taller handlebars on it. Other than that, that bike is everything that her and I both wanted. So we took our test ride. We loved it, whatever. Signed the paperwork, out the door we go. I take the bike from Zanesville down to close to my grandma's house. I didn't want to go on the dirt road with the bike. So we took the bike down, had a good time. It was gorgeous. The one thing that I really want to tie all of this together, I care way too much about other people's opinions of me. I really do. I want to make good first impressions, and I want everybody to look at me and say, wow, that Clayton's a good guy. He knows what he's talking about. He's got his head on straight. It's important to me. And I don't understand why so much that I always try to please people and make good impressions. I feel like it is important, but I'm trying to learn that I don't have to listen to all the outside fucking noise. Everybody's going to fucking talk. And it's not always bad. You have to sort kind of through it about what's good, what's bad. And just some things that have been on me. There have been people that have been upset because they weren't invited to the wedding. They're like, hey, why weren't we invited? We heard about it from somebody else. Why isn't there a spot for me at your wedding? And I don't feel like I have to explain myself. But at the end of the day, there was only so many people that we can have at the wedding. And we're going to have a great time with the people that we have there. We're going to wish that we could have more people there. But her and I set the cap, and it was super hard to limit ourselves as to who was coming to the wedding just because of space wise and everything else. different things with the bike. People were talking about, you know, it might have been, was it a bad idea? You know, you're fixing to get married. Now you're putting this on yourself, on top of your student loans, on top of everything else. There's just been a lot of people that have came to me and said how they, like, not necessarily disprove, but some people have been like, you know, do you think that was right? Or do you think you should have done that? And I talked to Kristen about it and I said, I don't know why I strive so much to please people. I don't know why it is that I feel like everything that I do has to appease everybody. But I think a lot of people are like that in a sense. And I feel like as long as you, the person, are happy with what you're doing in your life, me and my fiance are happy. Me and my now wife, that you guys are listening to this, I still can't get that through my head that she is my wife. Like, that's cool as fuck. But anyway, we are happy. We are in a good spot. We are living life to the fullest. And that's all that matters to us. And everything else I need to really work on just letting shit go and let people talk, because people are going to talk. It doesn't matter who you are. People are going to say shit. People are going to be upset with the choices that you make, which is fine. They're more than happy to be upset about the choices that we make. They're more than welcome to disagree with the choices that we have. But all I know is that I'm happy with the purchase that I've made. I'm happy that my wife is in my life. I'm happy that I'm just where I'm at. I'm not 6 feet under. I'm doing great. I'm living the way that I want to live, which I've talked about on this podcast 100 times before. If you're going to do it to your best ability. And that's what I'm doing. So we absolutely love everything that's going on right now. Everything's good. We're just going through life hand in hand together with the support of the people that want to be there. And I can't thank the people enough. All the guys from the motorcycle club, all the family, all the friends that were at the wedding. I thank you guys so much for being in my corner and having my back. I love those people to the end of the earth and back. The people that weren't invited to the wedding that we wanted to be there, I thank those guys just for understanding that we couldn't have everybody there. And as much as we would have loved to have you there, we appreciate your support and your love. Like, it means the world to both of us. We appreciate all the people that we have in our corner and want us to succeed and do well. I can't thank everybody enough for all that they've done for us and everything that they've helped us out with. And we really appreciate everybody. I just wanted to get that out and say that, along with everything else that's going on, because I don't want people to think that I'm hounding people. I don't know. Just a lot of shit been going through my head here lately, whether right, wrong, or indifferent. Another thing too that her and I really wanted to talk about. She had been sick leading up. It's probably been a couple weeks out now, maybe a week ago or so. She had been sick, the worst that I've ever seen sick out of her. Like, normally if she's got the sniffles, she doesn't care. She's going at it. If she's got the sniffles, she's going to work. She ain't missing work. And she has a job where she can miss, but she also feels obligated to her clients to be there for them, which I understand that. But she started getting sick over like a weekend. And then Monday rolled around. And I told her, I was like, listen, if you're not feeling better, because you sounded pretty bad on Sunday, but if you're not feeling better, like, there's probably something we can do, or you can take a day off to get better. You know, you don't have to be there every single day. You've got vacation built up. Like, don't be afraid to use your vacation, especially if you are sick. So she had a really bad cough. You can like hear it in her lungs, that kind of cough. Um, Body aches and the dizziness. She said she would stand up too quick. Almost, it was what it would feel like. She would just get super dizzy. And then it got to the point where even just sitting up for too long made her dizzy. So she would have to lay down all the time. And this went on, y'all, for like a week. I bet you she was still dealing with it for an entire 7 days, if not longer. So Saturday, she might have started feeling bad. Sunday was really bad. Monday was bad. Tuesday was bad. On Wednesday, I'm like, hey, listen, if you need to go to the doctor, I will take you, because it's obviously not getting better just by itself. So she decided she was going to go to the doctors. I was going to take her. Um, so we end up going to her family doctor. They take their tests or whatever they're going to take them, whatever. And I told her while we were in town, I said, hey, as long as you don't care, I'm going to run into Sam's Club real quick. I'm just going to get the things that we need. Um, and then I'll be right back out. I'm not going to spend all day in there. I figure while we're in town, because it's like a 35-minute drive away for us, as long as she's okay sitting in the car, even if she lays down or whatever, I'll run in and grab our groceries real quick. If not, no big deal. We can come back another day to get them. She just didn't want to go inside with me. I'm like, yep, I understand. That's fine. So she gets her test done. She's waiting on her test results. I run into Sam's Club. I get everything we need. I'll tie that back in a little bit as well. I leave Sam's Club, get out of the car, unload all the groceries. She goes, hey, listen, they forgot to put my name on my test when I left the doctor's office. So now I've got to go back in and retest. And I was kind of upset about that already because I felt bad for her. She doesn't feel good. The last thing she wants to be is out in town. I've probably kept her out in town longer than what she wants to be. She just wants to go home. I get it. I said, okay, let's go back to the doctor's office and get you retested. Well, they can't retest her at that site. They have to retest her at another site. So there we were driving 20 some minutes further out of our way to go to get retested for her. She gets to this other doctor's office where she has to retest. She sits in the lobby for like 45 minutes to an hour. Like, I'm in the car thinking, what the fuck? Why is it taking so long? All she needs is a couple tests. Well, then she comes back out to the car and says she had to pay for the tests out of pocket again. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's not your fault that they didn't put your name on your test results the first time. So, like, how's it your fucking fault the second time? And you have to pay that again on top of the copay that you paid your first doctor. I was like, I'm lucky I didn't fucking go in there because I would have fucking said something to somebody like, hey, you got to make this right somehow, some way. But she's like, it is what it is. She's like, I'm just ready to go home. And I couldn't be mad at her. Like, the poor girl's sick. Like I said, she handles being sick very well. She will be sick in quotes and still be cleaning around the house and doing shit. She definitely doesn't get fucking man colds. But anyway, it was just like, I felt horrible for her. So I'm like, all right, let's get the fuck home. That way we can get you comfortable, whatever. So we get home, and they call her up and they're basically like, hey, you've got influenza B, a possible double ear infection. That's why the dizziness is. This was Wednesday, Thursday, maybe. I can't remember. I think it was a Thursday we ended up going, not a Wednesday. But they basically just told her to ride it out. They didn't give her any prescription or anything for it. They're like, yep, just let it run its course. We'll see you back on Monday for a checkup. And I'm like, what the fuck was this whole purpose? We wasted the whole fucking day going to doctor's office for them to tell you, hey, suck it up, buttercup. Like, you're telling me all the medicine in the fucking world out there and you can't give anything to anybody just to help them with like decongestion, the headaches, the dizziness. Like, there wasn't nothing that they gave us. But it's okay. She wrote it out. She said it did suck, but she did get better. She still has like a lingering cough from it every once in a while, but she does feel better, and I'm glad. The notes that I wrote on that, her and I's big thing in our relationship is it's always, to us, we know that it's always not going to be 50-50. Everybody talks about how relationships should be 50-50, and I do agree with it in some ways. Like, if you're able to give your 50% and I give my 50%, that equals 100. We're good. Just if everybody does their half, we can make it work. If everybody does their share, things get done, everything's good. But there are times, especially when somebody's sick, somebody's having a bad day, other things are going on in somebody else's life, whatever, that you're not able to give 50-50. But what is important is that the other person in the relationship knows that their spouse isn't able to give that 50%, so they have to put in the other whatever percentage to make it 100. And her and I are both big on that. We understand she knows what days I can't give 50%, and she steps up without question. I know in my heart that there are days she can't give her 50%. I also know there are days that she's put in way more than 50% and I've slacked. So I knew this week when she couldn't give her 50 and she could only give 5-10%, if that was it at all. I knew that, I understood that, and I was perfectly okay with that. And I feel like that's why our relationship has worked so well. Along with that, the great communication that we have, like, nothing has defeated us. Nothing has come between us where we couldn't crush it together. And I'm super thankful about that in our relationship because I've in past relationships, there's just been fucking rocks that we couldn't climb. And I don't understand why. I still to this day don't really get why there were things that we couldn't conquer together. But being this girl, I I feel like with each other we could fucking conquer the world if we chose to. And I feel like that's why we're such a good match made for each other is because we know each other better than we know ourselves. And I can't be more thankful than that I found somebody that I finally can be that way with. Another thing to kind of wrap up this episode because I feel like I've been going on for fucking ever. It may not be forever, but it just feels that way. Um, I'm super excited to marry this girl, and I'm glad we have the same outlook on different things. Um, Sam's Club has been our fucking niche here lately. Like we love going to Sam's Club when the time's right and it's needed. Um, we have been buying in bulk meats, dinner ideas, different stuff that we know we are going to use. So we've been buying in bulk of it. And we've almost found like our little cheat codes that we love using. And I just wanted to share this out with people in case they haven't heard about this or they don't do this and feel like maybe it would be something for them. Um, I feel like an easy one. We buy our seasonings from Sam's Club. I love Kinder's seasonings. They have some really great seasonings out there. Some of them aren't for me. I found out I ended up having to give one away to my buddy because I just didn't like it. The whiskey peppercorn for me, I'm not a peppercorn fan. I assumed there would be less peppercorn in there, but there was a lot more than what I thought. But that's like the only one that I've come across that I wasn't like ecstatic with. The rest of them are great as far as I'm concerned. Um, but we buy our seasonings from there. They're, we use the fuck out of them. So why not get them in bulk? Another thing we like to do is we get our ground beef from there in bulk. Um, we get it there. We vacuum seal it when we get home. We break it down into 1 or 1.5 pound packages, break it down, throw it in our deep freeze. Super simple, a little bit cheaper when you buy in bulk. It doesn't take much work at all. You can weigh it out on a fucking scale or you can eyeball it. It's up to you. But we love doing that. Another thing we've loved doing is we will buy an entire pork loin, massive pork loin, for like $20. And all that is a massive log of like a pork chop, basically. Most of it is pork chop. You do have some ham steaks on the end where they're a lot more tender. So we cut the ham steaks off, package those separately, and then we cut our own pork chops to the thickness that we like. And it saves so much on pork chops. Like, I don't know how much a pack of pork chops is anymore at the store just because we don't buy them at the grocery store anymore. And we will cut that entire pork loin, cut the ham steaks off the back end, cut the pork chops the way we want them. I guarantee I probably got 32, 36 pork chops out of it, maybe. Um, and it's so much better. You can cut them to the thickness that you want. We cut some really thick. We cut some super thin. We cut some butterflied pork chops. And then we also use marinades. Marinades are super simple to buy at like your Walmart or any other store that you go to. They add flavor to meat so well. You throw some marinade in the vacuum sealed bag, you throw your pork chops or whatever meat you want in there, vacuum seal it, and it's ready to go. It's super simple. You thaw it, you pull it out, you cook it. And that's what the easy thing we were looking for before we started our diet. And I feel like that's why we were buying easy meals to make, which are a lot more in calories, I feel like, when you buy processed shit like that. But if you process something yourself, or even if you just don't go to Sam's Club and get bulk meat, but you just get meat that you can cook super easy, throw it in a bag with some marinade, whatever, and just make it easier on yourself because nobody wants to go to work and then come home and make a big extravagant meal. It's just not worth it. And if you think it is worth it, then by all means do it. But for us, we like simplicity. And I feel like we try to keep it as simple as we can. Another thing I'll buy, which is a little bit more on the pricey side, I get a chuck roll. It's basically a poor man's ribeye, is the way I've been told. But it's a large chunk of meat that you could pay anywhere from like 120 to I've paid almost like 180 ish, depending on how much weight you have in that chuck roll. It's not something that you can just find laying around at Sam's Club. You actually have to get attention of the butchers in the back. They'll come up to you, hey, can I get a chuck roll, please? They're like, yeah, absolutely. They'll go in the back, they'll bring you out a whole chuck roll. I like to freeze it up a little bit, let it get kind of stiff instead of being all loose and thaw it out. Freeze it for a little bit, then pull it out of the freezer. And and we cut steaks out of it. We cut up small steaks for if we want steak and eggs for breakfast. We cut out because there's some steaks that are pretty big. You could cut them in half and make decent sized steaks, but we leave some steaks bigger. We cut some smaller steaks. Again, marinate those, season them up how you want them, freezer bag them, throw them in the fucking deep freeze, however you choose to do it. Like, realistically, you go to the store and buy ribeyes, you're paying a good chunk for just a couple ribeyes. I can't tell you how many steaks we've gotten out of those before. It's hard because it just depends on the size that you get. Chicken breasts are the same way. I haven't gotten fresh chicken breasts in a while. Normally, I just get the frozen ones. But again, if you get those fresh chicken breasts that aren't frozen yet, throw them in some marinades, season them up the way you like them, then put them in a freezer bag. Get a vacuum sealer. They're relatively cheap. Get a bunch of bags. And if you have the freezer space, freeze that shit. It is amazing. We love doing it. I think it's really helped us out in the long run with our dinners and everything, and cost saving. We don't have to go to Sam's Club every week. Maybe once a month we can get by with going to Sam's. But another thing too, one of our big purchases that we made was alcohol. Not that we drink so much of it here at the house, but I knew we needed a bunch for the wedding, and I use Scan and Go a lot. But the problem with Scan and Go is you can't buy a bunch of alcohol. They limit you to your how much alcohol you can get. So I called the Sam's Club while I was at work, the one that we were going to go to. I'm like, hey, listen, I need a bunch of alcohol for my wedding. Am I able to get it from here, or do you guys seriously just have a capped limit? Because if not, I'm going to probably go somewhere else and get it. They're like, no, you can get some. Just after you buy a certain amount, you have to sign something saying that you're understanding that you're purchasing a large amount of alcohol. Now, I didn't read the fucking terms agreements or whatever the fuck when I signed it. So I don't know when I can go back to Sam's Club and buy alcohol again. But I bought a shit ton of alcohol from there too. You get more, I feel like, and I feel like you get it for a decent price. Um, Another thing too, and I know I've said this before in podcasts, but we love making our menus. We love sticking to our menus if we possibly can. So making a menu ahead of time, knowing what we're going to have through the week, and then only getting the things for the menu that we need, along with some of our regular groceries or regular things that we need through the week for breakfast or whatever. Man, I didn't meal prep breakfast this week. It's Sunday at 4 o'clock. I mean, I guess I could meal prep breakfast, but I think I told her I was just going to make eggs. Probably cut up some steak. I'm going to probably do steak and eggs this week for. But yeah, meal prepping's definitely helped us a lot. But that's kind of all I got. This is kind of the wrap up. I appreciate you guys hanging in there with me. I hope you guys enjoy this episode. I know in this episode I didn't talk about my dentist shit. I moved that back to episode 5 just because of the way that it fell and the scenarios that played out with it. Trying to get a cleaning set for the wedding that was coming up, and with my insurance and the way they were kicking it back and everything. That is in the next episode with all the dentist trouble that I had. So that'll be in next week's episode, or the next 2 weeks episode, really. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Even if you're just a listener of this podcast, have no idea who I am, I appreciate you just as much as the next person. But until next time, stay wobble, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll see you on the next ride.